Please hold.
Oh, both of them are coming in. Both Jason and Angus.
Okay.
And we're recording, so.
Okay.
Great.
All right. Angus.
Yeah.
Jason.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Jason.
All right. I've
Hi.
got to read the script, so please bear with me. As a preliminary matter, this is Brooke Mirrigan, Chair for the Historic Structures Advisory Board. Permit me to confirm that all members anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Mr. Mickey Rowland. Can you hear me?
Here.
All right. Lucy Dillon.
Here.
I can hear you.
Jason.
Here.
Meeting has begun.
Angus.
Hi.
Holly.
Present.
All right, great. Oh, right then. That was staff when I call your name. All right. Thank you, Holly. Anticipated speakers on the agenda, please respond in the affirmative. We don't have any anticipated speakers, though I do see that Charlie Gibson is here for 34 Washington Street. Good morning. What is it? Oh, good afternoon. This open meeting of the Historic Structures Advisory Board of Nantucket is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, we have been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings, and as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order, which you can find posted with agenda materials for this meeting, allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will not feature public comment, though Charles Gibson will be representing an application on his own behalf in the town of Nantucket. For this meeting, the Historic Structures Advisory Board is convening by video conference via Zoom app as posted on the town's website, identifying how the public may join. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that all attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you and to take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. Meeting materials. All supporting materials that have been provided to members of this body are available on the town's website unless otherwise noted. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless I, Brooke Mirrigan, the chair, notes otherwise. Meeting business ground rules. We are now turning to the first item on the agenda. Before we do so, permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. I, Brooke Mirrigan, the chair, will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, the chair will go down the line of members, inviting each by name to provide any comment, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called. Further, please remember to mute your phone or computer when you are not speaking. Please remember to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. For any response, please wait until the chair yields the floor to you and state your name before speaking. If members wish to engage in a conversation with other members, please do so through the chair, taking care to identify yourself. For items with public comment, after members have spoken, the chair will afford public comment to those members of the public that have joined the meeting via Zoom. Members of the public who wish to speak must state their names and be acknowledged by and speak through the chair. Finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by roll call vote. Since we are a narrative vote board, we are not necessarily voting, but we will be working towards consensus on the projects in front of us. All right, all that said, would anybody object to taking 34 Washington Street first so that Mr. Gibson can represent and then be on his merry way?
Fine.
Angus? Angus?
Hi.
Okay. All right, Lucy,
I'm fine with that.
hey, Jason, you okay with that?
As I.
All right. All right. Does
You all
everyone
know
have-
where this is located, right?
Yes.
Any of you had a chance to take a look at this?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yes, I looked at it earlier.
Okay.
I did too.
All right. Who would like to start? Nikki, you want to start? All right.
Sure. Um, well, there's a lot to talk about in this building. I think first we should sort of take a look at the general massing. The details will come later, but I think we need to think whether just the general shape and roof lines are appropriate. And to be honest, you know, except for the angled tower, I'm not sure I have a real problem with most of the massing. I think it's generally okay, mostly just a gable with some couple gables, a couple sheds. The tower facing the water, I think, is the most problematic. And Charlie, I'd like to ask you, is it angled for to improve the view, or could that be squared off to align with the building better?
Well, it is to give more of 180-degree view from the harbor master's office. I mean, anything is possible, but that was the original concept, was to have that angle there, so to improve visibility from where the office staff is.
Yep. Okay, to me, I think knowing the area pretty well, I think the view is going to be, to me, it seems like the view would be just as good if it were aligned with the building. You're going to get a pretty broad view facing, you know, straight off the back of the building. So personally, I'd rather see the tower aligned with the building rather than be angled. I think it's a little bit too modern looking with that angle.
Okay.
So I'm going to start on the south elevation. And just, you know, there's a bunch of issues.
Holly, could you make it bigger?
I can do that.
Sorry. This is Jason. Holly, could you make the plan bigger?
Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So the windows, I think, need a lot of attention. All of the small 6-light windows, the proportions are wrong. The panes need to be more vertically aligned. So they could probably get a little bit either taller or turned to 8 lights, I guess. But I think they would probably do better as just taller 6 lights. And that'll give them better proportion.
The reason they're like that is because they're in bathroom spaces. That's
Yeah,
all bathroom on that. Most of that section if you're looking at it to the left of the door.
Yep.
Those are all toilet rooms. So that's the reason why they're up sort of high, to give some natural light, but there's some privacy issues. I'm sure they can do something if we need to frost the glass or something, but that's the reason they're like that.
Yeah, I'm not suggesting that they get much lower, but if they could be maybe even like 6 inches, you know, lower the bottom of the window, maybe like 6 inches, and that'll give them just a more vertical presence to the shape of the panes. And that
Okay.
shouldn't interfere too much with the privacy.
All right.
Now the windows in the tower that are kind of meant to look like, I guess, double hungs, I just think they need to be double hungs. The casement thing, I just don't think works. It's a pretty foreign looking window to Nantucket. So I would definitely ask that those become just normal looking double hung windows.
Okay.
That kind of looks like it's a collaborative band running around the entire building. That seems really out of place for downtown. You don't really see that anywhere else. I don't necessarily mind the cedar band above those windows, but I'd get rid of the clapper band and the other trim wrapping around the building below those windows.
Continue the cedar shingles throughout.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So I'm moving now to I guess the next one down is north. Yep. So similar issue to all those 6 light windows, and some of them are transoms, but I'm going to suggest that the windows that are in the office space or the reception area, those could just become normal looking double hung windows, and the heads of those really should align with the doors as they normally do in a regular house or commercial building even. The top of that, they could be 6/1s, but the tops of them should be relatively close to the door header rather than being a whole nother level above. Now, I can see that the doors have these sort of 6 light transoms above them, and I'd rather see those become sort of a standard, 3 or 4 light transom, single row of panes above the doors.
Yeah, the problem we're having, and I know we can make it look differently, but we're in the V11 zone there, and we received a waiver from the state to not make the building 3 feet higher than it is right now.
Mm-hmm.
But to do that, we had to sort of make it a watertight enclosure so that there'd be, in the event of a storm, there's like baffles that would go in front of the doors. So those windows can't get any lower because we'd be subject to flooding. So the part of the variance that we received was that those window sills can't be any lower than that.
How high is that? 3 feet above the floor level, the interior floor?
Yeah, that's the problem because of the, to make it fully V11 compliant, the whole structure would have had to be up on a few more feet higher.
Mm-hmm.
So we were able to get a variance to lower it from the State Building Appeals Board. But in order to do that, we had to make some concessions that basically the structure is kind of like a boat, that we can put baffles in front of the door to stop any water that would come in to keep the VE code. So that's the issue. That's why those sills are a little higher than what normally would be.
That's the same thing I had to do in my office building. So, maybe, Charlie, if the doors are standard 6'8" doors, maybe they could be 7 foot or 7'4" maybe, and then you could
Okay.
line the top of the window better. Maybe the top small transom better, so you can get a little bit more with a regular transom.
Yeah, I didn't hear any of that. You're
I
all
missed
broke
that.
down.
All right, moving on. Oh, sorry. Okay, so if the doors were made taller, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Are you hearing me? Have I lost you?
You're back.
Okay. So if the doors were made taller, like maybe 7 feet or 7'2" or 4, then maybe the tops of the windows could be brought level with that height, and possibly even with a smaller transom above the door, and then they might be able to align with that. But I think that just needs to be studied, different options to look and try to get it looking a little more normal.
Okay.
So moving on to the east. Mostly covered this before, but again, windows, double hung windows. I'd like to see that tower squared off. The chimney looks like it's probably there as an air duct of some sort to get a louver in it.
There's an elevator issue with we need to have the vent on top.
Could the vent be vertical
Well,
instead of on the side of the chimney?
The problem is the elevator code requires a person to be able to stand on top of an elevator car when it reaches its highest point. So you kind of have to have a little cavity above it so someone doesn't get crushed, or that's the reason for it. So you have to have a big space on the top of the car.
Mhm.
That's why that chimney sort of sits like that, and for the vent as well.
Well, I see what you're saying. Just not, you know, the big louver in the side of a brick chimney just, just doesn't feel right. If there was maybe some other options to that, to see
Okay.
if they can explore that one.
All right.
Um, So east and west. I don't think the west is aside from the other issues with the clapboard band and the double hung window, I think the west is generally okay. I think that's it for my comment.
Angus, would you like to make any remarks? Can't hear you.
Mute. Angus.
Hello, everyone. Looking at this structure, I feel like I'm more in Hyannis than Nantucket. There's very little that reminds me of what's here. I agree with everything that Mickey has said about the band and about the proportions of the window panes. As Mickey had suggested, those window panes, even if you didn't change the size of the sash, the window pane proportions could change by making it 8 lights, 4 lights across and 2 lights high or something. I like the idea of it going to double hungs. I like the idea of the tower getting squared off. I agree about the chimney louver. If there's some other way to think about that, I don't know whether it could, be a different kind of chimney or cupola or I don't know, some kind of structure. It's just masonry is seen as solid masonry without a space in it in louvers. So if that could be thought about. But in general, I agree with everything that's been said.
Jason?
I agree with everything that's been said. I think one other thing is that it does look like something in Hyannis. It actually looks a lot to me like the newer Highline building, or the building next door to the Highline where the cafe is. But I'd like to make sure that the sign is removed, because the sign is a separate application. And then also, should the windows be true divided? It says simulated.
We can't do that with the hurricane code. That's another issue there.
Is there a way out of that?
You need impact rated glass that close to the water for commercial structures. Yeah, no.
All right, because there's been other things I feel like that have come up that have not been simulated, but there's something else, but I can't remember what it is. Oh, Holly, I don't remember what is like the trim color and sash and stuff like that.
Looks like a combination of paint and natural to weather, cedar,
What color paint? Oh wait,
Sandstone.
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 This is not white. That's it. I agree with everything that pretty much has already been said.
Lucy?
I agree with everything too. I mean, it does look like Hyannis. That was my first impression of it. And I don't like the way that tower sits at all. And those vent pipes coming out of the roof, are they going to be plastic or copper?
Copper.
Okay. And no meters or anything like that's going to be visible from the street?
No, they're on the
All on
south,
the side.
south elevation.
Okay. All right. I agree with Mickey, especially on the profile of the windows.
All right, I think that's it for now. Sounds like, double hung style windows wherever possible. Perhaps consider a different elevator relief area, maybe a cupola or something other than masonry. Okay. I
Can
guess,
I add one more thing?
yes, you may.
I'd like to point out too that the downtown Comfort Station does use frosted glass on their windows for the bathrooms.
The visitor center?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I think that's all for now. Anybody else have anything else to say?
Chair, I have one other thing to say, and that is about the condensers on the back or on the south side. I'd want those to get boxed in some way. I know that they need to be out of the flood, but yeah, that's something that.
Yeah, they could have a lattice or trellis skirt or something around it. Yeah.
Something. Board
Even the
fence.
meters could, that faces the park,
Yeah.
just some kind of wood scrim that hides them.
You can put those in boxes. Kevin and I have done that. You don't need to look at that stuff.
Or even have a fence, out from it enough that everything can breathe as much as it needs to, but just like totally screen it.
Yeah.
All right, are we ready to move on?
Thank you for your comments. Very helpful. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie.
Have a good day.
Thank you.
All right, let's look at 60 Walsh Street.
Can I say one thing? Holly, could you make sure that we see that one again?
Good point.
Yes.
Absolutely. Just make sure you just let me know which ones you really, really, really want to see. But yes, I was going to put that on the comments.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Who is called in?
That's probably me. I'm getting a terrible connection.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right, 60 Walsh Street.
So this is a new dwelling. This is that site you guys have seen a couple times for some demos. And this is it's actually a new rec barn down here. This L-shaped property. Let's see. All right. So it's more visible for you.
Lucy, would you like to start?
Yes, I still have a problem with that little wart off the building for the utilities. And then on the east side of the building that has the decking that goes out? If you look at the floor plan, it's between the heavy bag and the hammer or something rack, but it looks like a garage door on the outside, and then there's a deck on the, and then there's a deck. I don't know if it's visible from the street on the other side or the neighbors, but yeah, that I'm not crazy about at all. They've got a large opening on the other side facing their own property. Why can't they just get rid of that one?
Angus, would you, are you, sorry, Lucy, would you like to say anything further?
No, for now, that's good.
All right, Angus?
You know, in general, I like the idea of there being some sort of structure down there other than just another house. So I'm excited to see something that looks like a barn, but I have some concerns about fenestration. That overhead, it looks like an overhead door. Is that wood or glass or I don't know what that is on the gable end?
I don't know, let's see what it's an overhead door, custom 8x8. It does not speak to what it is in terms of lights. It says not applicable for lights.
So, I mean, it would be great to see either something as simple as just something that reads as batten, vertical boards, or panels or something, but just the horizontal panels doesn't seem appropriate. And if those doors, I mean, they're gonna, I like them for light and everything, but if the big doors coming out onto the deck, if those are, I wouldn't want them to be visible at all from anywhere. The same with the windows and the connector between the larger and smaller barn part. So I don't know if any of that's visible from Brant Point Road or anywhere. So I would definitely say a viewing.
Jason?
No,
You guys can't see this, can you?
no,
No.
screen, I don't see anything. I just
See
see
what?
I don't know what happened. All right, hold on.
Oh, technology. I can talk without it. I agree with Lucy about that the gable end thing, the door, whatever the thing is. My concern too is that it's hiding something that will, you know, like a big old piece of glass that will be visible. And I also question the visibility of those other large expanses of glass that are on the, I guess it's the west side. Yeah, on the west side. I'm worried about that visibility. It's because it could really be very bright, especially at night. Those are my two biggest issues, the west piece and the, I guess, the south piece.
Right. Jason, would you like to add anything further?
Oh,
All right, Mickey, would you like to say something?
Can you hear me? Oh, too much.
Echo.
That Grateful Dead show.
I'm gonna hang up and turn on my microphone. Hang on a second.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry about that. So, you know, how do the rest of you feel about the siding? You know, there aren't too many old buildings that I know of that have this big, broad barn board look. To me, most of the barns I've seen on the island in the old photographs are all shingled. So I haven't been a fan of a lot of the buildings lately that they're doing this barn board siding on. So my comment would be I'd rather see shingles than this barn board. And I'll agree with probably what everybody said before. Those big sliding glass doors are inappropriate. I think they're going to be partially visible at an angle from Brant Point Road. So I think those need to be redone. The big, huge 6-light windows, I'm not sure if they will be visible. So I kind of care a little less about those. It just seems that they could be something just a little bit more common. And that the overhead door on the south, I don't care what it's made of. I don't know that I'd want to see an overhead door there at all. Why not just a swinging door that looks, again, maybe more like a barn door, like, you know, they did on the north elevation. If it's a barn, it should have a barn door on it. I guess that's all I have.
Thank you. All right. I think we're all in agreement on this. I think visibility is the main consideration. All right, are we ready to move on?
No, I have a comment.
Okay.
Looking at the application, does that mean that that sidewall of that so-called barn is all going to be white? It says batten white.
Yes, battens are white. Yes, so they're going for a real modern look.
I don't like that. I mean, it's going to look like a schoolhouse instead of a barn.
I agree.
And
Yep.
then it's getting back to those, that garage door or whatever it is on the gable end. We're seeing more of this kind of stuff. And I just don't like it. And for instance, I have a neighbor in Quays that has something like that. And what it's turned out to be is a huge picture window that's visible from the Pulpus Road and at the entrance of the UMass Field Station. I don't think it's necessary. I don't think the decking on the outside of it is necessary either.
I'd like to add too, this is Angus, I'd like to agree with Mickey about the vertical boarding versus shingle. And I was assuming that the vertical boarding was natural rather than white. So I'm definitely opposed to it all being painted white.
And where are the AC units?
Oh, good question. Not on the site plan. See if it's listed. Oh, technology. It's having a field day for itself. Sorry, guys. Maybe they'll come back. Nope. Not on the floor plan, so I'll put that as a note. Lucy, where are AC units?
Yep.
And I'm going to indicate that you all recommend a view.
And we'd like to see it again, of course.
Yep.
Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, are we ready to move on to the next?
Yep.
All right, 13 Union Street, brick driveway.
Why is this not- There we go. 13 Union. The structure's had quite a bit of work to it. So they have a larger lot. I think they just built a garage right there. I guess they're wanting a herringbone driveway.
Do we know what was approved originally?
No, I don't believe there was anything approved originally. I know looking at the street view, there is some sort of brick there right now, but I think a lot of it has to do with the existing sidewalk, not necessarily what's there.
Mm-hmm.
So
But no photographs, right?
Nothing that I see in this application.
What are the driveways in that area? I think we were just looking at an application that had the access ramp, and that was that a brick driveway, but just a regular running bond?
No, shell.
Oh, that
Yep,
was shell.
shell.
Yeah, there's a lot of white shell on Union Street. In fact, I think there's probably more white shell than brick. I think there are maybe one or two that I know that are right in that area, right across from, I think it's Coffin Street. I think there used to be one, or maybe still is. But I think given oh, sorry, go ahead. Angus, would you like to start? I know how I feel about it, but I'm the chairman. My opinion doesn't matter.
I mean, I typically like a herringbone brick, but I want it to fit in with the neighbors and what's around there. And if the dominant surface is shell, that probably makes more sense. And then I would take a closer look at what brick is along Union to see about pattern.
All right, Jason?
I actually agree with Brooke. There is a lot of shell on Union Street, particularly on the hillside, like Hammy Hurd's old house and all that. It also, I mean, I know you can't see the patio from the street. By the time you add the brick parking lot, there's no there's nothing left to the area that isn't paved or housed over. But I'd prefer to see it shell. Prefer to see it remain what's similar in the rest of the neighborhood.
Lucy?
I'm going to go with shell too. And for another reason is because there's so much hardscaping there, when you get a deluge and it comes down the hillside, they need some area that the moisture can perk down.
For Roland?
Yeah, I'll agree with the shell concept. But just in case the HDC doesn't go there, I think they could minimize the amount of brick by narrowing the surface. I can't. If you look at the site plan with the yellow, I'm not sure if that's what they're saying is going to be all brick. But I bet they could make used maybe a different surfaces rather than make that all brick, and maybe just have the brick right directly underneath the car parking if they really needed it. But shell best, but minimize brick if they're able to do that.
All right, I agree with Mr. Rowland and also with what's been said. I feel like it is a very large expanse of brick, so much less brick or definitely prefer shell.
I'm sorry, Brooke. I was also going to say, I'm not sure I like the herringbone thing on Union Street either. I think I'd rather see it a little bit more conventional.
All right, are we ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I would also state that I don't believe that it meets zoning, the width. So it's a little large. There's no dimension, so there's no way to tell. All right.
All right. 29, let's see, what is this? 29 Broad Street, more hardscaping.
Yes. Uh-oh.
5 AC units.
Oh boy. All right. I have your photos, Lucy.
Yeah, I submitted those because I didn't understand these photographs with that white Duber fence in there.
Okay. And then, bear with me here, I think. For some reason, 29 didn't come through, so hold with me for a second. Gotta love technology some days, when it doesn't work. 29. But I was glad to see this submitted because it takes that, they're paying attention. All right, here we go. Sorry, guys. '29 Broad. Linda came through. She said she was going to get them to submit, so there we go. I'm not quite sure what vegetation that it's proposed there.
They list it down below.
Okay, is it?
So that is how they're approaching this, as a vegetation screening.
Uh-huh.
There's no other blocking mechanism.
Are these already in place?
Yes.
The AC units, yes. Yes.
And the big generator thing too?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, here's some.
Ooh.
That's pretty.
I would say it's the biggest eyesore in the historic district by a long shot.
No, I can't get that way.
Nikki, do you see that?
Just barely. They're pretty tall, looks like.
Yeah, I sent Holly a photograph this morning with actually a woman with a stroller standing in front so you can get an idea of the scale.
Yep, I'm gonna make them larger.
Here's someone on a bike in front.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, because they're also raised, so they're even more in your face.
I can't imagine how they ever thought that was like something they could do.
Now, when I first saw him putting him in, I was surprised.
I think they had realized that.
They've got so much land. Why wouldn't they go in the back?
Here's the scale. They are pretty large.
Yeah, that's my photograph. You can see the.
Yeah,
Is
that's
there
pretty
anything
good.
around the generator, like a fence or something?
Oof.
No.
Nothing.
Well, may I read something from the Jared Coffin House website?
Before we go down this little path here, let's go person by person.
Okay.
Would you like to start the conversation?
You want me to?
Sure.
Okay. From the Jared Coffin House website, it says historic mansion located downtown, one of the most successful, three-story mansion was constructed in the center of the town as a home for his family, was the first mansion ever built on the New England island. Standing today as a stately landmark. And then they go on, and I'd also like to point out that it was mentioned in the Smithsonian as when it was Ocean House. Herman Melville stayed there for a few days in 1852. NIR claims they are dedicated to preserving our beautiful East Coast destinations. This is, as I said, a huge eyesore. What I don't understand is, I don't know how long NIR has owned property on the island. I tried looking that up, but they certainly know that they have to apply for these things. They did that railing in the back of this building. They've done that terrible seating on the patio on the other side, and this. There is no excuse for not applying for approval. The landscaping is not going to cover it. Some of the landscaping is boxwood. Boxwood gets a blight, so that's not going to be good. I think my recommendation, as I said before, that these units should be relocated to the other side of the building or in that alleyway that they also own. And AC units can be located far away from a building. I've done that myself.
All
And I
right.
don't understand that white fencing in some of the photographs that Linda submitted.
Jason, would you like to say a few words?
I agree with Lucy. I mean, obviously they know what they're supposed to do and they ignored it, or whoever was in charge of ignored it. It could have gone someplace else that was less obtrusive. If we're stuck with them there, boxwood and skip laurel ain't gonna cut it. It should have to be fenced, but I just think it's atrocious. It wasn't. There was plenty of other places it could have gone. And if it's allowed to stay there or whatever it's going to happen, I think they should be fined. That's it.
Mickey?
Yeah, I definitely agree with what's been said. These are also noise pollution type items too. That generator is going to cycle on periodically. And of course, the air conditioners are going to run constantly. So I think they could rethink this and move them to the back of the building. They seem to have I think they do have other locations they could have used. As a minimum, fencing, but I'd hate to give them that option because I don't want them to have it. I think they should move them.
I
Just
guess,
as
oh,
an
sorry.
add to what Mickey said, generators get tested at least once. The generators get tested at least once a week, and they usually
Yep.
run for 30 to 45 minutes as the test, and that's every week.
I agree with everything that's been said. First, I would want to, it is a significant structure in a high profile spot on a corner. This is about as visible as a thing can get. It's one of the first impressions that I had coming off the island, coming to the island, just walking off the boat and walking up the street. This is I think too important of a visual and high profile space to have these at all. But if they are there needs to be more than planting, or more than what planting is suggested. And a fence, the fence that is photoshopped into the pictures, it only goes to the window sills, and you can see the equipment goes up halfway up the doors and the window. So that fence wouldn't even obstruct the view of what's there. But yeah, I think besides the visual is the audible pollution as well.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Holly, do you know if this has, very few things got on before they did the whole island, but did this get single listing on the National Register?
I don't
know the
believe
old-
so.
Okay, because I know the oldest house did, and like Brant
Right.
Point.
Hold on.
That guy.
I can look in 2 seconds. I don't think so.
I don't feel like it did, but I don't remember what else is on there. Like I said, it's very,
the lighthouses are, there's not that many
I think the oldest house is for some reason.
in the oldest house. Yeah. No, it's not.
Okay.
All right.
But it deserves it, I think.
So we've all said our piece.
No, I would make a recommendation, well, besides wanting to see this back, is that not accepting any submissions from NIR or something like that, or for the JC until this is cleaned up. Lyndon said it before, oh, it was an off-island contractor. Who cares? That doesn't make any difference. They're still responsible for the work that's done on their property.
Fred?
Chair agrees.
Duly noted. Not a problem.
Yes, definitely love to see it somewhere else.
So Holly, can you read back what you're going to submit to the HDC, please? If you can.
Yes. No excuse for this. It's a huge eyesore. Boxwood gets blight. should be relocated to the alley or the backside of the structure. Atrocious plants are not going to cut it. Also noise pollution, rethink these and move them. This is a significant structure, high profile space. It needs more, and then needs to be cleaned up. So those are pretty much the comments.
Thank
that
you.
I got. You're welcome.
Would you like to add the contingency or the caveat about the NIR applications not being accepted? Can you?
I can notate that. I just don't know what legalities the HDC or you all have as a group to be able to say, you know what, sorry, you can't submit anything else.
Well, we can suggest it, and then the HDC can
Absolutely.
discuss that.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think that in this case, that certainly makes sense. It's a standalone, unique structure. It'd be like sticking a bunch of AC units on the side of the Unitarian Church. It's the same
Absolutely.
level of lack of care.
Yeah.
I understand, and I will pass that along.
So, all right. Next.
45? Yep, 45 Westchester. All right. Now, okay, that's it right there. We got photos. Sorry.
So this looks like it's going in the front.
Sorry, can't answer my phone right now. Anybody else's internet going really slow? This is the town internet. Hey, we're all doing stuff digitally. All right, 45.
Too many people working?
I guess. All right. So I have photos as well. I don't know if they were online.
Mhm.
Of course, this structure, the main dwelling was built in circa 1900. So of course it's significant on the NHL. They're proposing it in the front.
All right. May I read the letter?
Yes.
All right. This is from Nancy Drazal. I think she works for Kim Glowacki. These show the existing conditions. No room to put it on to the right side, as boundary isn't straight and doesn't allow setback. We propose taking out the hedge on the right side of the picture and place shed there. View would be locked by parked cars or be blocked by parked cars unless they're not there. Backyard is wetland. Let's see, hopefully there are open minds on this one, and thank you. I did speak to Linda Williams, who will represent it. Let me know if you need anything or if you have any idea about it. Okay. Jason.
You said that they say that their backyard is a wetland. Well, what about on the other side of on the opposite side of from where the driveway is? What's that over there? On the left side of the image. Why can't it go over there? That's my comment. Why can't it go to the left side? I don't know what direction that is. North.
That's fine. This looks like their backyard, I guess.
She said there was a comment that her backyard is a quote unquote wetland.
Doesn't look like one to me.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, let's see what the GIS map
It looks
says.
like there's plenty of other places. I mean, it's a simple little shed. My only comment is it looks like there's another place to put it.
Angus, would you like to say something?
I don't really have a problem with it. I mean, less visible would be great, but it's at the back of the driveway and there probably will be cars parked there. Graphically, it says 9 pitch, but it's showing over a 12 pitch. And I wouldn't want that steep of a roof. So, you know, if they hold the eave height just at the door and then make it a 9 pitch, I wouldn't have a problem with it.
Mickey?
Yeah, I don't really have a problem with it. It doesn't, you know, it's on the side, just to the side of the house, and it doesn't even look like that's sort of the front of the house. The site plan shows a front porch. So I don't really mind the location, and it's a very simple looking shed. My only comment is that if this is Structures Unlimited that's submitting this,
Yes.
I would think they could up on the, I think they could do better on their graphics. They should be able to do more accurate drawings. That's it.
Lucy?
I wish it wasn't visible from the street. I'm not a big fan of counting on cars or hedges for blocking stuff. I agree with Jason. I'd like it somewhere to the left.
All right. So there are wetlands in the back, according to the GIS map. I don't know that this would be, you know, close enough, but obviously I can imagine they don't want to pay for a surveyor to figure that out. I think I definitely agree about the drawing quality. I think it should, you know, be a little bit more accurate in terms of, you know, what it's saying and how it looks, you know, a 9/12, but drawn as a 12/12. I think I would prefer to see the, you know, maybe the gable forward so that it doesn't present so strongly on the street. And then that way it can slide north a bit, and maybe there's a gate into the area for the shed as opposed to it being right on the driveway. I think there's room to do that. I mean, I think this looks like a garbage shed at the very least, and probably maybe a bicycle shed. You could, you know, walk through a little arbor and, you know, look at the doors, the swinging doors, which now face south, but if they then face west, you can still put your bike in the shed, and the shed will be less less obtrusive.
You're saying on the other side of the hedge that's in the picture?
Yeah, if you, again, you can turn it.
I love that idea.
Yeah, go 90 degrees,
Yep.
gable faces street, push the
And 2
building back,
doors face the house. Yep.
push the building north, you know, past the hedges, and create a little pathway in there. And then that way the hedge screens the shed. You might see the peak of it, but it's a lot more discreet, and it's not front and center on the brick driveway.
I like it.
All right.
Yeah, I like
Good
that
idea.
too.
All right. Oh, Jason, I see a nod.
An elbow.
Yeah. All right.
Perfect.
Can we move on?
We can, Mr.
All
Chair.
right.
5 North Liberty, are we at?
Yep.
Right. Here is 5 North Liberty.
Replace 2 doors on south elevation.
So this is the, I think this structure's had some work over the years, but this is the Barn Stages Theater from the 1930s. I guess it was used as a theater in the 40s and 50s. Pretty cool. Did not know that.
Is this an as-built? Looking at photographs.
I'm not sure. See new door.
Like the doors are already there in
Mm-hmm.
the photographs.
Well, all right, if you go to the fourth page after the site plan, it shows a 9-light, 1-panel door.
What was that?
But it doesn't show that on the south elevation, and the photos are really hard to see.
Door replacement.
Yeah, what are they proposing? And the 9-light looks like a Dutch door.
Right.
Photograph says for existing south elevation. Do you all see that photograph? And then there's an existing south too. Those are the doors they were applying for. This looks like an as-built.
See if there's anything else in here.
Well,
Yeah, it's just the history. of-
except for if you go to the fourth page, it shows a completely different door. So they might
What
not.
page is that, Brooke?
So that's an 8-light? Is that what that plan said? That's a 9-light. I'm with Mickey. I think this is an as-built, and I mean, it would have been nice to have something in the file to indicate that, so I'll apologize for that.
Yeah, what was approved?
Door replacement. I don't understand.
Oh, you know what? If it is an as-built, then he's probably just trying to sneak by on some vague language. Yeah.
Fine.
Anyway, I think. All right. So Lucy, go ahead.
No comment.
All right, Jason.
If it's an as-built, it should be fine.
Yeah.
Angus
I agree.
and Mickey, you've already.
Okay, wait a
Oh,
minute.
Chair, I'd like to add one thing though. If it is an as-built, like what was approved? Let's look at what we're changing it from to.
Mhm.
All right, and I'd also like to ask why they're including a 9-light door as a part of this application. A 9-light Dutch door.
Where do you see a 9-light Dutch door?
It's the fourth page of the application. Do you have that, Holly? I mean, you scroll back. Yeah, right there.
Right here.
Yeah. So what's that about?
Lark.
Yeah. That's
That's
true.
is that the new door spec? You know, do they want to change it from that, what's there, to this?
I think so.
All right, so are we okay with that versus the other stuff? In which case, is it really an as-built application?
Right. I see what you're saying. like the new doors. Well, no, I like the doors in the photograph better than I like.
Yeah, I agree.
I can.
You're okay with what's in the photograph, is what you're saying? What's actual
Yeah.
installed?
What's drawn and what's in the photograph. Yeah. I think the 9 light's totally inappropriate. The lights are too large.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, if you look at the rest of the house, all the other windows on the facade there facing North Liberty Street, you know, they're all smaller pane, and these are in keeping with that.
Mhm.
All right. Are we ready to move on?
Yes. All right, 7 Starbuck. I do want to let you all know that we received some comments from some abutters, so I'm going to read that to you all. See.
All right. Actually, Holly, before we do that.
Yep.
It looks like we've got a main house alteration, a
Yes.
garage studio alteration, and a cottage new dwelling.
Yes.
Do you think that these should be taken in a particular order, or does it matter?
Probably. Let's see. The new dwelling would probably be the best one to take because that's where the abutters are concerned.
All right. So the cottage new dwelling.
The cottage, yes. We'll do that one. I'm just gonna put them all up though. We have them. All right. Scroll down. All right. So you all know where Starbuck Court is. This is the proposed second dwelling. So the underside abutters of 7 Starbuck Court have reviewed the application before the HDC for a new dwelling on the reference property. We are concerned that an ancient sycamore maple, age estimated between 50 and 70 years, is not shown on the project schematic. Others on an adjacent property are shown. We hope the absence of the tree on 7 Starbuck Court property is an oversight. The tree in question sits almost on the property line shared with 4 Starbuck Court and 5 Mill Street. And there's photos attached, and cannot pose any challenges to the project under consideration. We would very much appreciate it if you could confirm that there are no plans to eliminate this tree. So I'm not aware of that, but if you look at this drawing, the tree is about right here. So of course you see the other canopies of the other trees shown, but it's not shown here.
All right. Lucy, would you like to speak first?
I think I'm fine with the building, but I am concerned about the tree. And as an aside, I asked Arthur Reed a number of years ago about the legal implications of a tree when it's on the property line. He didn't give me an answer, but that can be very problematic if you damage a tree, have to replace with a like tree of the same size. But there are a lot of ancient trees in that area, and I think this one should be well protected.
Angus?
I agree with everything.
Jason?
I agree, especially about the tree, because this is the back of or was once part of the Starbuck property, the Joseph Starbuck property. So this would, most of those trees that are in there, like in on New Dollar and all that, are really old, like most likely older than 70 years, like 100 or plus years.
Yeah.
So I do have concerns about that. I just don't know if it would how it can also classify what the parameters are for classification as far as the crown tree, like how far into a property, or if the age has anything to do with it, because I know that there were other trees in the neighborhood recently taken down on another house that had a lot of work done, and I don't think they got permission from the town and they just chopped the trees down. So I don't know if Dale or the tree committee was even made aware of that when it was done. But this is also, you know, that whole view from New Dollar into Starbuck Court and back there is also very visible. And it has been so untouched. It really harkens back to that time period. I think it's a simple cottage, but I hate to see anything else done that's screams out, because that main kind of what was probably the candle manufacturing is so untouched.
Mickey?
Yeah, I missed a lot of that because I lost my connection. So you can come back to me in a minute.
All right. Well, I definitely agree. You know, I think if the HDC has any say about trees and also their effect on a particular setting and how it relates to the context, then I think that if there is a tree there, then something certainly should be said. It doesn't look like this building is going to interfere with that tree, so you know, why lose it?
Right.
As for the building, I have no concerns really. And it looks like that's an actual real masonry chimney, so that's great too. All right, how about you, Mickey? Are you ready now?
Yeah, I missed the early discussion, but I generally don't have any problem with the building. It looks, I don't know, looks fine.
All right.
Pretty symmetrical.
Mickey, the concern was we received concerns from a butters about a tree that's approximately on this property line around here somewhere that they're not indicating on the plans, and they're concerned that they're going to be eliminating it. So.
Okay, so they're cutting down a tree.
Well, we don't
No.
know. They're not indicating it, and the neighbors are concerned that they're going to, because it's not on the plans, that they're proposing to eliminate it.
Okay, I would be
So there's
concerned
some-
about that too.
Yep.
I'd also like to add that to protect that tree, there should be a staked off area, because even having heavy equipment parked close to the tree will compact that soil and jeopardize the health of the tree in the future.
Right at the drip line.
Yes.
Hopefully it's just an oversight.
Hope so. Okay, so that was the cottage. Now here's the garage, I guess. Looks like the garage is going right here. Interesting. I'm taking, and this is a tree, and that's the drip line, the canopy. Or am I the only one that's thinking that?
That's what I thought too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that looks like we're going to destroy roots.
All right. Mickey, would you like to go first?
Sure. Yeah, on the surface, it looks fine. They're not changing the roof lines at all, it looks like, and just sort of updating some windows and doors. The existing south elevation, that's a big change. And I'm wondering how historic a building this is. Is there any historical information about this, Holly?
The main dwelling, I didn't see anything on this existing structure. Let me look in the packet, but the main dwelling was, it said, NHL data said circa 1800. I didn't see anything. I do know that there's some older type utilitarian garage types in this area that are about that age. But I'm not too sure about this one in particular. But I can look real quick again. I didn't see anything when I first did it.
I don't know. To me, it's like there aren't too many of these old, whether it's an old stable or just a carriage house for who knows what. It's really losing that character and looking more like a garage with a bunch of windows. So I don't know if there's a way to try to retain some of that old carriage house character rather than just removing all those doors and strap hinges. It's kind of a charming old building. It's really changing to something a little different. That's it.
Angus?
I agree.
Jason?
I agree too, especially on that side with that losing that funkiness of those little was it like there's like a 9 light window and then there's little 4 light windows. It just is so simple and does speak to being like a barn / carriage house of some sort or however it might have been used because it's attached to the candle manufactory. But also, you know, Bill Little, we made him keep his garage that they turned into a storage shed. And he's in a butter. He's one of the people who commented about the tree because he had those early bifold doors from like the 20s. And at first they weren't very happy about it, but they made do and they use it now. And I'd like this to remain pretty much untouched. Make it if they need to make it more so they can use it to be functional, that's fine. But there's no reason to be changing the kind of kooky character of the windows on the back or what have you. Especially if it's from 1800 and we don't have enough information about it. Who knows? Maybe the little windows where the horses could stick their noses out.
Lucy?
I agree with Jason. I also, once again, if this is changed into a studio, is there going to be an AC unit somewhere?
Chair agrees with everything that's been said. Definitely, it's a utilitarian structure and it's been there a long time, and be a shame to see it go the way that it looks like it would go. So,
May I add another comment?
yes.
Once again, it bothers me that you've got people who fill out these applications and then don't put in the original date. To me, it's just sloppy.
Yep. I annotate that on the report that it's not filled out.
I hate to be awful. I think sometimes it's done purposely. Plus also the town report cards, when people use those, the town report cards are never right on ours dates. I mean, the Mitchell House, they have being built in, 1820, and it's actually built in 1790. So.
Yep. I have found that many times. Many times.
There seems to be some consensus. Look at the main house.
There we go. Main house. NHL just says that it was circa 1800, so it's very very generic. I didn't find an HDC survey on this. I looked at Macris and there's nothing. So, but they got some sandborns in here indicating the location.
That's very surprising.
What? No.
Well, disappointing,
survey.
yeah, because we know that Joseph Starbuck had a candle manufacturer in his backyard, and that
Right.
smacks of I'm a candle manufacturer.
Now I will tell you this: I did not physically go and pull the drawer, the HDC files, even though they should be on Macris.
Actually, my husband did a whole study of that house years ago. I should ask him if he remembers anything.
That would be cool.
I think I'm just gonna call out before we start, and it's not really our purview, but should the roof be altered or anything? That has an asbestos roof. They can't just be, as they did at another property not that far away, stripping it off willy-nilly.
Mm-hmm.
It needs remediation in order
Yes, it does.
because they're jeopardizing the homeowner, the neighborhood, and the people who are doing it. Just
Yes,
so that's
that
all
is a good point.
Although that roof is perfectly fine, it could last through a nuclear blast, basically.
So it looks like these are the existing elevations. Yep.
So that whole sunken garden exists, or sunken area outside the basement?
Believe so. There's the existing.
Yep.
It is a wall facing New Dollar Lane around the house. That might be hiding that.
It's hard to. Sorry guys, it's hard to see what they're. Existing south, existing west. Door swing to be flipped on the south. So you can see here. It looks like this is their change. Adding some more window here and a window here. I can't see that part. Move you guys over. Some people's plans are perfect to read on Zoom and others are very difficult.
Did they already start work on this? The photo looks like there's a I-beam running through the basement.
Do not know. Oh yeah, I see that. Right here.
Yeah, it's
I don't
not
think
in
that
my
is.
No, I don't think so either. It doesn't look like it's through it. It's just sitting there.
It might be
Right here.
just a bar gate. This is like a little swing gate. I don't know why though.
Odd.
Oh, maybe it's holding up the wall.
Yeah, that's what it
or
looks
the
like.
foundation.
Oh,
Like
Keep the
it looks like
foundation from
brace.
bowing.
Like a
It's
buttress.
brace.
Yeah.
Wow.
huh.
Could be. They got a lot of moisture problems there.
So I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything.
So they're getting rid of the lattice over those openings. And they're removing all of
What's
the,
going on with that chimney?
Chimney.
rebuild chimneys above the
Are they
roof
removing
line.
the chimney?
All right, Angus.
Um, there's a lot to look at here, but in general, I'm pretty fine with the architecture. I always hate to see an old chimney go away. I feel like there's, well, usually a way to figure that out. I'd rather that not be a cosmetic addition. I mean, it is going away in the plan. I appreciate it's remaining on the roof, but I hate to see it go from the inside. Um, that whole sunken area seems atypical, but it looks like it's something that's already existing. Now, I don't really have any issues with the proposed design.
Vicky?
Yeah, I agree with Angus. Jason, is this the candle factory? Is that what you were saying?
I'm pretty sure my husband's outside, I'm 90% sure that this is the candle manufacturer because Joseph Starbuck this was before they were doing a lot of stuff on the ships, but he had built a candle manufactory behind his house, as did other people in that area, such as what's her face, Eunice, his daughter, his two daughters who married and bought 99 Main together, that what's his name just redid. I think that garage at the back was part of a candle manufacturer. People were building candle manufacturers in their backyards, and he was a owned whale ships and whatnot. So yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. I haven't read about it in a long time.
Is it visible from New Dollar?
Oh, yeah.
Do you see
You
the
can
back?
see it from New Dollar. You can see the whole back side of it from New Dollar.
Yeah,
Yeah.
from New Dollar. Yeah.
And then the house, it's right there.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest change seems to be just removing that lattice. I don't know if that's even a problem. I generally am fine with it. I don't see anything too glaring.
All right, Lucy, did you already speak?
No, I'm fine with it all. I'm just wondering, and Jason, you could probably answer this question, but is that lower level, the so-called basement, would that have been actually designed that way so it would be an access for carts for
Probably.
incoming and outgoing
Probably.
materials?
Yeah, Nantucketers didn't do anything that didn't have a purpose to it.
Yeah, I mean, that's very reminiscent
So
of
it probably was to make things easier. I wouldn't be surprised if there could have been traps in the floor.
yeah, it's like building barns in the side of a hill.
Yeah.
But I'm fine with that. And
All right. All right, I have nothing further to add. I love seeing the lattice go away in that instance to reveal the actual function of that area. I think it's a really cool thing to do. And the rest of it, I mean, it's a shame about the chimney if it's not all the way to the bottom, and if it's just cosmetic. That's unfortunate, but it is what it is. All right. So does anybody have anything else to add? Jason.
My husband actually came inside and he said, yes, that it was supposed to be a candle manufactory behind the house. And I do have problems with the windows being moved, like why we're tweaking windows over to deal with kitchens or whatever else they're doing. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's like,
move
just
the
leave
sink.
it alone. Yeah. I mean, just leave it alone. I mean, that's ridiculous. So we're blowing a hole in historic fabric just to tweak it over by what, a year or two? But I have a real serious problem with the loss of that chimney, especially because it's, because of the historic nature of how this building.
Does your husband have any historic information to provide?
I'm not sure he remembers as much as any more than that. Do you?
It's been about 27 years.
Oh my gosh.
When he was in college.
I mean, he was a very famous, I mean,
No, we-
it was a very famous
yeah,
project,
we have that,
and-
yes.
Yeah, and it was
But you don't
supposed to be
remember
near his house.
Okay. Yeah, I gave you basically what he knows.
I'd like to add one thing about the chimney. In what is existing and what is proposed, there's still a chimney mast there. So I think if the chimney needs to be restored or something, or even rebuilt, if they can just, keep the original material on site and reuse it, even if they have to rebuild it, that would be preferable to a loss of it.
They got the
I agree
storage
with-
area downstairs. They could throw all the brick in there.
Throw it where?
The chimneys, I agree with Angus is what he's saying, but I think we should also add that they should try to match the type of mortar, or at least the color of the mortar there that was used. Instead
Yes.
of gray Portland.
No Portland pointer. No.
Right.
Phantom pointer.
Henry Varian told me once that the mortar on Nantucket was probably lighter than usual because they would have used crushed up shells here.
Yep. Mhm.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
We don't like Portland cement for historic structures. Nope.
No.
All right. Anything else to add?
Are the downspouts going to be copper?
Let's see what it says. And doesn't want to play nice. Oh, there we are.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair, can I make a motion to approve the comments?
Yes. Anyone want a second?
Second.
All in favor? Raise your hands.
Aye.
All right. Chairs in
Aye.
favor. All right. Oh, sorry, Mickey. And then,
Motion to adjourn?
yeah. Second? Lucy, second.
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Roll call.
Chairs in favor.
Can you do a roll call just to make it official?
So I forgot. So Lucy's in favor of adjourning? Yes.
Yes.
Jason, are you in favor of adjourning?
Yes.
Mickey Rowland, are you in favor of adjournment?
Yes.
Angus McLeod, are you in favor of adjournment?
I am.
Excellent. Chairs in favor. Can we go now?
You can go now.
Thank you. Thanks,
Bye.
Holly.
Thank you.